After a 20-year career in the corporate world, Dana Smithers felt passionless about her work. Not only that, she feared she may be a sitting duck for the next corporate downsizing. So before the company dumped her, she reinvented herself and became a professional real estate stager. Today, she mentors women who would like to follow in her solopreneur footsteps, and it is my pleasure to welcome Dana Smithers to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Thank you so much, Fanny.
Nice to meet you. I just read you were passionless about your work. I'm sure you started your work with passion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I had a great career. Climbed up the corporate ladder. Had branches. Was a sales manager for Western Canada. Traveled. You know, all that was glamorous for a little while, and yeah, and then the passion just left.
Well, that can happen, and you also know you're not rowing the boat. So to speak, and one day the person in the big office could say, you know, you're a wonderful person, but you're gone.
That's right. Yeah.
So home staging, why? How did you figure that out? What is it, to be exact?
Well, home staging, the definition of home staging is the preparation of a house for selling. So you stage it so that it appeals has broad buyer appeal, but to the seller's client, a target market, right? So you can't just, you know, it's not just about decorating, right? It's about being very specific about the how the home looks. Yeah.
And working with the person who's in the home, that too. You have to be a bit of a psychologist.
Yes,
but,
you do. Yes.
You know, people are very funny about their stuff. You've learned this. And they think their home is beautiful, but you walk in and say, well, we could do some eliminating here.
Exactly.
Do you or do you not, generally?
We do, and part of that, being a good stager, I think you also have to be a good psychologist, as you just mentioned, because until that seller is really ready to sell and they have the buy-in, because we really are going to dramatically change the way they live. My tagline is, remember, the way you live in your home is not the way you sell your house. So we may have to get rid of about 50% of what the seller actually has in their home if it's very, very personal, if they have a lot of collections. So we have to make sure they have the buy-in to do that. If they don't, you know, you're just butting your head against a wall there because they're not ready. And I have had that happen.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
And you walk in, you have to be polite about people's space.
Totally tactful.
Totally tactful, but you think, oh my gosh, too much clutter, too much what else? Wrong colors on the walls. What are the specifics? Bad lighting?
Yeah, usually the home improvements that I recommend, probably about 90% of the clients, I recommend to change their paint colors. The older the home is, the more the paint colors are going to be wrong, because we really do want to paint in neutral colors so that we can accessorize with bright, trendy colors.
Okay, so you go into a home of a long-term resident, and we have a picture of one. The client had lived in this home for some 25 years.
Right.
Never really changed anything. We won't mention any names. Decides doesn't have to sell, but can sell.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be done quickly, but here we are.
Yeah, actually we did that in one day. So we took out a lot of furniture, repositioned, decluttered, depersonalized, just really set the room up. So you want to create as much space as you can in a home. So that's the key. It's really taking out a lot of furniture, sometimes even half of what they have in home.
Do you rent things sometimes? Things, furniture, pictures, taws? Tchotchkes.
Most home stagers that I teach as well in the Prez course, I recommend that they have small inventory. So we would have art, canvas art, cushions, lots of florals, maybe some throws, vases, the tchotchkes, those kinds of things.
Sure.
That we could work in with what the client's got. But if it is a vacant home, then we will have to rent everything, all the big furniture, and there's about 6 rental furnishing companies.
Right, so you take, when you say vacant, new home, a vacant new build?
Could be, or it could be someone's deceased, or someone has already bought another property and they've moved out and they realize that their furnishings weren't going to work. So this is a new build actually there. So I had to determine what furniture I was going to get for that. So I worked with the builder actually on the paint colors. So that's the dining room setup. That's all rented.
Great.
Furniture.
Now what if the buyer comes in and says, you know, I want the whole shebang.
Sure.
You can do that.
Yeah, they could buy. That was beautiful white tuxedo leather sofas there, and everything is just gorgeous. So they could buy if they wanted to. Yes.
Okay, back to the business of this business.
Yes.
You started, well, you've written a book about it,
Yes.
the home staging business,
Yes.
but you have started with obviously a vision or a course in decorating or what?
Well, I actually started very flukily, not wanting to be the sitting duck. I just took a night school course, and I thought, I want to do something that's fun because I've been so serious in my business career. And I thought, well, you know, I've always decorated, I've traveled a lot, moved a lot, always was able to create a nice space, never had any formal training. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take some courses. So I took an interior decorating program, loved it, fast-tracked it, ended up teaching it for 4 years myself.
Oh, great.
And just then I had clients who said to me in the early 2000s, we're selling, can you do anything for our home? And actually staging hasn't been in Canada that long at all.
But it really makes a difference.
Oh, huge.
I know because
Yeah.
I've talked
Yeah.
to people who have had their homes staged, if that's the right term, and they say, once we staged it, we didn't want to leave.
Yeah, and that happens, Fanny. Yes.
Does it? When
Yes.
they say, you know, this looks pretty good now,
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah.
Let's not sell.
It does, and that happens periodically if they really weren't 100% in, like we'll see what happens if we get a bite or not. But the sad part of that is most people's homes that we do stage, they just love it, and they always say, why didn't we do this before? And I, of course, go, I don't know. But we also can move people in. So we tell them, as a stager, we can recreate this in your new space.
Sure, I understand that. I moved into a very zen space, and it was so zen
Yeah.
and so fabulous. And now it's not quite as fabulous because guess what? Hector the Collector has added a few things, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
So back to your business. You had a vision. Did you make a plan, a business plan? Did you do it right?
Yes, I did. Other than that, I didn't need any financing because really you don't to start a home staging business. It's really a low investment. And I had a plan. I just call it my roadmap. And yeah, everything that I wanted to do, I've done in terms of the course. Most people are really, really good at the design and decorating part of it, but not so good at the business side of it. So I recognized a need, and that's why I wrote that book.
Sure,
as
so
well.
because, as you know, you have to close the sale.
Absolutely.
For one thing. You have to let people know you're doing what you're doing.
That's right, yeah.
Any tricks to that? Letting people know. Networking, what?
Marketing. My three biggest tips for marketing and getting yourself known out there are networking, speaking engagements, and having an e-newsletter.
Okay, and use social media, don't use social media.
Oh, absolutely social media, because your target market is, like I was on Facebook this morning and on Twitter saying, hey, yay, I'm going to be on the Fanny Kiefer Show. Yes,
yay,
yay.
How exciting.
Yeah, so social media, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm sure it helps in any business today. The bank, the bank. When you want to expand your business, did you make a proper financial plan? Did you just have a friend who was a banker? I mean, you were in the corporate world, but so many people thinking of starting their own business, becoming solopreneurs, don't. Like, I have no idea where to start, you know. Hello.
Well, I didn't, except I'd been in corporate, so I had some ideas, right? But most people that I teach have no ideas. They've never been self-employed. So as far as the bank goes, the only time you have to get a bank loan in this business is if you're going to have your own rental furnishings, which you might get a bank loan for $50,000. Otherwise, you don't, Fanny. That's what's so great about the business.
Well, that is great about the business.
It is great.
You bet. And you have to have some taste, and you have to be able to figure out what makes something better.
Yes, you have to have, I just say people, you have to have that gift, right, of going into a space and knowing what looks good, because I had that gift, but I had no formal training. It was just something I did well. But anybody can learn how to run a business.
And there are, well, that is true.
Right, because through the book, through my course, I coach women in business as well. So if they want to,
And do you talk to many women who say, you know, I was way smarter than I thought I was?
Absolutely, and that's what I love, and I just love with the course too, people get validated. Oh man, I really do know how to do this. Or I say, look at that. Or they've got all these great ideas. And I say, you just needed to take a little bit of training that you know, gives you the certification as well, and you know what you're doing. And plus, I'm around.
Right.
People can email me anytime or phone me, and all of my graduates
so you
know
will
I'm
mentor, because it's about
Absolutely.
empowering and educating and
Totally.
inspiring. And when you're having one of those days and you have, or you're just perplexed.
Yeah.
You have no idea how to fix this house, no
I'm here.
idea how to make it better. Curb appeal, do you work with things like that?
We do work with curb appeal. In fact, I have written an ebook on creating curb appeal to sell.
Okay.
For the do-it-yourselfer as well. As stagers, often we will have a strategic alliance of a landscaper or a gardener, and generally we call them in to do that. I mean, we'll look at the door, we'll look at what's showing, you know, window treatments and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look at, we may even be offering exterior paint colors and things like that.
Okay.
So,
Well, you know, Karen McSherry of the Gourmet Warehouse.
yes.
She did her front door and she sent it to the car dealer. And she has the shiniest front door in town. I'm not kidding. They put like a lacquer on it, like you would
Fabulous.
on a car.
Yeah.
It's so hot.
Yeah.
And it's interesting
Love
because
it.
when you walk up to her front porch, what do you notice? The door.
Yeah.
So I guess doors are
Well,
important.
it's a good feng shui thing as well, right? If I like to do doors actually in black gloss.
Well, that's what this is,
Oh,
only it's so
fantastic.
glossy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I do that glossy, but
Right.
just yeah, that 10 to 60 seconds of
Sure.
that first impression is often about the door.
Because if somebody's buying, they, I'm sure, look for how well maintained the house was,
Absolutely,
what's
yeah.
falling apart, what's not, unless it's a tear down.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in our market, there are a lot of tear downs, and we know that. There's certain areas of the city. But about 80% of buyers want what we call a move-in ready home. It's not like the old days, Fanny, when when we were a little bit
that's
younger.
interesting,
Yeah,
yes.
where we had the time, right? Because people don't have time, money, and energy anymore.
True, and
to-
you can get divorced if you do a renovation.
That's right. And if you're going to do a reno, then you're probably not going to sell anyway, right? You're going to keep that for
It's
yourself.
true, and when you're young and innocent,
Yes.
you think, how much fun
Yeah.
to buy a
Totally.
fixer-upper.
Absolutely.
And then you get to a certain point and you think, I want every corner to meet, I want every window to work, I want the front door to be shiny.
And I just hire-
I don't want to
That's-
do it.
I don't want to do it,
Just
exactly.
hire the person. Tell me how this feels compared to the days when you're making the six-figure income. And I don't mean you're not anymore, but you were big corporate exec,
Yes. Yeah.
changes course.
Yeah. I have actually made more in home staging.
Really,
than I
and
did in
you're having
corporate.
more fun.
I'm having more fun.
obviously. You've written a book, Home Staging Business. Start your business with a small investment, which is key.
Yeah,
to
about
most of
about
us.
$5,000.
Really, $5
Really?
grand?
Yeah. My
But-
first staging job, I made $3,000.
Really? So
Yes.
what does it cost if somebody wants to stage, depending on the house, depending
Yeah,
on
it
what?
depends on the house. The actual staging, which is the hands-on part that I talk about, or an
Right.
installation, is about $800 to $1,000 for the day, and we can get a lot done in that one day.
Sure.
Yeah. So you
Sure.
might be spending, several $1,000s. If you're renting furniture, that's on a monthly basis. Of course, that's going to be a little bit more as well. It's not as expensive as people think, because if they don't do it, it's very costly to them.
Well, I'm sure, and you make friends with the realtors and all of
Yes.
that, and they know you, and so that's a nice
Partnership,
connection,
yep.
partnership. It all makes sense. So Start and Run a Home Staging Business by Dana Smithers. I thank you.
Oh, I thank you, Fanny.
Nice
My
to meet
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
For sure. Dana Smithers, Home Staging Business, Self-Counsel Press.